Question, real estate in California. What the Seriously, can someone help? What's an escrow? What's an ARM? What is an REO? What is pre-approval? Can I get pre-approval? Why is inventory so low? Why are interest rates so high? Oh, interest rates not so high? How low is low? How not so high is right.
Before you go down the road of questions, get expert help at championsofhome.com. California Association of Realtors. Who's your realtor?
Welcome to the Going to Killing City podcast, a historical look at murder in Kansas City. Here are your hosts, Jamie Green and Alex Greenwood.
Welcome to the first ever subscriber-only Insider Club podcast episode. Alex, we're upping our game. We're actually having to do more work product.
Yeah, but you know why? It's because we have some great fans.
That's very true. So one of the things when we had talked about doing this can be a lot more free-flowing. So it's not only going to be murders, it's going to be other cases. We may have an episode in the subscriber only where nobody dies. Wouldn't that be delightful? Not a single person. We could do something where it's a crime, but there's not anybody. You'll have to wait and see. But we are looking very forward to that. And we have our prescribed drinks in the regular episodes, but this month, and every month, I think, we're going to just talk about some of our favorite drinks.
Yeah.
So Alex knows this. If you went on the tour, you probably know this because it's great. My favorite cocktail is a Manhattan, which is it's got 3 ingredients. My God. It's just got, whiskey. It's got bitters in it, and it's got some vermouth in it. And that's pretty much it. Oh, you got to put a cherry in it. I love that drink. It's my favorite drink. I'm having one now. We will put in the show notes for subscribers only on this one how I make it. I might even put a video up for you to see it. It's really easy.
Yeah.
So I'm starting with my favorite, and as we go on, I'll give you some other ones. So Alex, tell me what's your go-to? What do you drink more than?
Well, it would be a martini, which is kind of I think people have heard that to death, and they're probably bored of having me talk about them. But I'd like to talk to one that we featured on an episode. As we are recording this, we're still in the warm weather in summertime, and as featured in A Killer Headache, season 1, episode 10, released in December of 2023, it is the Painkiller, a very good rum drink, and that's like 2 ounces of rum or Navy style dark rum, 4-ounce pineapple juice, an ounce freshly squeezed orange juice, an ounce of cream of coconut if you have it. You can garnish it with a little nutmeg, a pineapple wedge, blend it all together. And I'll tell you, you'll be feeling no pain after, that depends on how strong you make them, but a couple of these, you ought to be great. So that's one I really enjoy in the summertime in particular, is that. But gin martinis all year long for just my go-to drink.
Outstanding. So that's our drink of this month. Make either one. Make the martini. Make the your painkiller.
Yeah.
Manhattan. I can't make a Manhattan with a Kansas City episode. That would be strange. So
Manhattan, Kansas, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. So that's this episode. We're going to delve in. So once again, thank you for being a subscriber. Thank you for being here. Like I said, we're going to make these a little different as far as content, but I think you're still going to enjoy them and get to, learn some things and also just have a good time while listening. So with that.
Yeah, just don't forget going to Killing City, go to the website, go to our Substack. And of course, if you're a member, that's what that's about, right? But we'll have all that in the show notes and in our social media. And hey, don't forget, we want to hear back from you. It'd be great if you got on social media and told us, admittedly, this is subscriber only, paid subscriber content, right? But still, we'd love for you to log in on social media and tell us your favorite cocktail.
Absolutely. That'd be great. All right. So for this month's episode for subscribers only, the 1930s is a decade that we have visited often on Going to Killing City. The murder of Johnny Lazia, Myrtle Bennett murdering her husband during a game of bridge. Of course, Alex did a great job with the Union Station Massacre. This was a very turbulent era, but not only for murder. There was also another hugely popular form of crime in the 1930s. Any guesses, Alex?
Kidnappings.
Kidnapping is correct. Gangsters often utilize kidnapping, or as they called it, the snatch racket. Hello. As a lucrative enterprise. All right, even on this podcast, as we mentioned this briefly, Kansas City's Nellie Dawn, the mistress of Senator James A. Reed, was kidnapped and held for ransom before Senator Reed called in his good friend, Johnny Lazia. And Lazia, of course, made the kidnappers release Nellie almost immediately. But these kidnappings often have lasting damage. The Lindbergh baby kidnapping, of course, would be the one that almost everybody in this country still knows. It was considered the crime of the century. That was also in the 1930s. But there's another cautionary tale about kidnapping right here in Kansas City. Okay, another individual that we have touched on in multiple episodes is Henry Judge McElroy. If you don't remember, McElroy was the city manager during the Pendergast era, known as a country judge who did quote-unquote country bookkeeping, which of course just means that he cooked the books. It stole a lot of money. Okay, so McElroy was in a lot of ways the face of the Pendergast era. You know, Tom Pendergast, he'd only been in city council once. He got out of it. He never was the face of the org. He had other people. And as city manager, McElroy was front and center on that. And not surprisingly, he lived a lavish lifestyle that he got from the proceeds of his bribes. A federal investigation of Pendergast showed that McElroy had received many payments, graft payments, from various contractors as they built many buildings that still stand in downtown Kansas City today, including the Municipal Auditorium,
right,
City Hall, and the Jackson County Courthouse. All three of those buildings, 90 years old, still standing. Every one of those he took a little pinch, little taste on the side from the contractors that built this. But one of the other things on this podcast, Alex, what does money always bring? If you have a lot of money, what happens?
You get a lot of junk mail.
You do. And you also get a lot of attention.
Yes.
Remember, that's the attention that the mob got when Fred Bonadonna bragged how much money he was making down at the River Market.
That's right. This is
not probably the kind of attention that you want, but it's there. And in this case, the attention was garnered by a gang of thieves looking for an easy payday. On the evening of May 27, 1933, McElroy's world was shattered when kidnappers arrived at his home at 21 West 57th Street, which is
right
there by, of course, Luce Park. The house is still there. I drove by it. It's very nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing as opulent as Tom Pendergast's mansion on Ward Parkway, but it's still a very nice house. The kidnappers were coming on that date to kidnap McElroy's son, but he wasn't home at the time. But his 25-year-old sister, Mary, was at home. Now, you might be asking yourself, why is a 25-year-old still living at home? I mean, especially when she had a father with means, right?
Right.
But Mary had lost her mother and Henry, his wife, back when Mary was only 13 years old. From then on, Mary kind of took the role of caretaker of her dad, made sure that her dad had all the things that her mom used to do. So she kept that role and decided to stay at home, even though she was a legal adult, to help her dad out. All right. I know I'm the nerd that gets on newspapers.com and does all this research. If we're going to put as many of these pictures as we can on this episode for subscribers only, because I think you're going to dig this. Mary McElroy was the darling of the Kansas City press. She was young and very pretty, so it seemed like the Kansas City newspapermen just couldn't get enough of her. The Kansas City Star wrote an article on July 27, 1930, breathlessly reporting with a picture of her with a typewriter, that Mary was planning to write a political novel right after she passed her summer typewriting course. I was like, yeah, you might want to be able to type first. The Kansas City Times in 1931 reported her going to the opera with then Missouri Governor Caulfield and his wife. She appears in numerous short blurbs in the Kansas City Star Society Calendar of the Week column. Clearly, Mary was a local celebrity, but that was all about to crash down upon her. Now, the plan of the kidnapping was audacious. Two of the accomplices, Clarence Stevens and Walter McGee, approached the McElroy home dressed as delivery men. Once they got the cook, there was a woman that worked as a cook named Hedda Christensen to open the door. They brandished handguns and entered the home.
Right.
They found Mary, not her brother. Mary was upstairs taking a bath. The kidnappers allowed Mary to get dressed. And then I love these old newspapers. We just don't get this kind of detail. One of the newspapers reported that she got dressed in a pink cotton frock, tan hose, and white shoes. I was like, that's important. So this reporter, like, talking later, like, what was she wearing? Like, you need to write that down. And they put it in the article. We just don't get that. Anyway, so they took her, meaning Mary, to 5718 County Line Road, which is, 47th Street now. It's roughly 47th Street in Neiman and Shawnee. Out then, back in the 1930s, this was out in the country. Now the town's grown around it. And they chained her to the basement down in the furnace. They put a chain around her to keep her down there, like 5-6 weeks on. That house is also still there. If you're interested, once again, the address is 5718. Now it's West 47th Street. It was County Line Road then.
Right.
Now, Alex, I know we have several themes on this podcast.
Yes.
One of them is criminals are dumb. Not all of them, but a lot of them do really dumb things.
Yes.
In this case, the dummy was specifically one of the kidnappers, Clarence Click. Turns out he owned that house, 5718 County Line Road, making it pretty easy for him to be nabbed. Along with Click on this mission were the brothers Walter and George McGee and a gentleman named Clarence Stevens. Walter McGee was an ex-con and was known to be the ringleader of this group. These four men demanded $60,000 in cash and ransom. I did not look that up. I should have. That's got to be a ton of money in 1933. I mean, it's the height of the Depression.
Right. Oh, yeah. Oh, wait, how much was it?
$60,000.
60K in what year?
1933. May of 1933.
Well, I mean, I can do just a little quick. I'll just look at my calculator here. That would be in purchasing power today about $1.5 million.
Yeah, a lot of money, like a lot of money. So Judge McElroy had a little bit of cojones on him, I guess is one way to think about it. But he started negotiating with them. He actually was able to negotiate that down to $30,000, which, it was, I don't have a daughter. I know you do, but I don't know if I would be like, wanting to go back and forth. I think I'd want to just get my daughter back. But anyway, they agreed to $30,000. So after paying the $30,000, Mary was released after just 29 hours of captivity. And they dropped her off at the Milburn Country Club, which is kind of a strange place. I have just this vision of these four mobsters pulling up, opening up the car door, and, Mary in her pink, whatever she was wearing, is stepping out. But that's what they did. At the time of her release, she reported how kind the kidnappers were and how they even gave her $1 for the taxi ride home, which she stated in the paper she was going to frame that. But, things are often not as rosy as you first think. People of Alex's age, my age, or older might remember the kidnapping of another rich daughter, this time being Patty Hearst.
Yeah.
Hearst, too, was kidnapped, but she had an unusual reaction. Instead of loathing or hating her kidnappers, she began to sympathize with them and then even went on to rob a bank with them. The whole nation was shocked when that picture came out of her holding an Uzi or whatever it was.
Symbionese Liberation Front or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
This is known officially as Stockholm Syndrome, which was first described in 1973. In 1973, a bank was robbed in Stockholm, Sweden, hence the name, where four individuals who worked at the bank were, kidnapped. After 6 days of being held, they were released. But to the authorities' astonishment, the victims said they had developed strong emotional bonds to their kidnapper. They thought they were cool. The causes for the Stockholm Syndrome seem to be the following. 1, the captor treats their victims humanely. 2, the captives and captors have significant face-to-face interaction, which provides opportunities to bond with another. 3, the captives feel that law enforcement personnel are not doing their jobs well enough. And 4, a captive thinks that the police and other authorities do not have the best interest at heart. And interesting enough, Mary McElroy developed the same feelings for these 4 individuals who kidnapped her, even though that she was only held there for 29 hours. Now, as you can imagine, once they get caught, and they all got caught, within a few months. The first guy was caught like in a day or two. All 4 of them were caught. It was a total media sensation.
Oh, I'm sure.
It wasn't quite Dr. Swope level, murder trial level of media sensation, but it was covered extensively. Again, this was the era of kidnapping. Kidnapping was big news in America in the 1930s, and this was no exception. And as I laid out earlier, Mary McElroy was the darling of the Kansas City press. They loved to do stories on her. Now, they moved the trial over to Jefferson City to be a little more objective. Mary was observed meeting with relatives of her kidnappers and then even publicly expressed sympathy for her kidnappers, noting that she had been well treated. And Walter McGee, the ringleader, had even given her flowers. Apparently, this trial, though, was too much for her. Mary was apparently having crippling shame and embarrassment. When asked about the case, she reportedly suffered a nervous breakdown and fled to Illinois for a short time before coming home.
Oh.
All the kidnappers were convicted, and in the case of Walter McGee, this shocked me. He was given the death penalty.
The death penalty?
This would have been the first execution in American history for kidnapping only. This made Mary McElroy extremely upset, so much so, she wrote a letter to then Governor Guy Bransfield Park, begging that McGee's sentence would be commuted to life in prison, which the governor eventually agreed to do after the public backing of the commutation by her father, of course, Judge McElroy. But this would not be the end of Mary's pain. She suffered several more nervous breakdowns.
Oh.
And in 1939, she lost her father. Judge McElroy died of a heart embolism. He was in his late 70s. And this all seemed too much for Mary. Just a few months after her dad's death, Mary decided to join him. On January 21st, 1940, a maid discovered Mary's body on a couch in the McElroy home. She had shot herself in the head with a pistol. Next to her lifeless body was a note that said, quote, "My 4 kidnappers are probably the 4 people on earth who don't consider me an utter fool. You have your death penalty now, so please give them a chance. Mary." And she was only 32 years old. I know, man. It's really sad.
My mouth is just hanging open. This is horrific.
Yeah, and it gets to something that you think at the time. I mean, and I'll put some of these, you can put them up on the website, Alex, so you see fit. The press reporting at the time after the initial, I think it's the jubilation. She's home. She is in one piece. She appears not to have been, either raped or burgled, whatever.
Yeah.
So there's a picture of her in front of her house with her dad and her brother, huge smiles on their face. Things are wonderful. She makes the joke about she's going to take the $1 that they gave for the taxi and put it into, and hang it on the wall. They delightfully thing about how Mary is so nice and she's concerned about, it seems like, but trauma, however trauma comes, you don't, Jason Kander is an example here in Kansas City. Yeah. He thought his experience in the war in Afghanistan, since he actually wasn't on the front lines, but he didn't think he could have PTSD.
Right.
But he did.
Yeah.
And poor Mary obviously was horrifically impacted by this, so much so that she lost her will to live. So
I am stunned by this one. I had not heard about this one, and I'm sure she was just a lovely person on so many things, and this was like a triggering event. And I know a little bit about trauma. I do, and I get it. I'm not criticizing her at all. I'm just stunned by this one. You got me on this one, buddy. This is wow. And I love this era. I spend a lot of time talking about this era on the show, and you beat me to it on this one. I didn't know about this one. This one's fascinating.
Yeah, and here's a little, epilogue. Among the things that she left behind was an unpublished manuscript which told her version of the kidnapping. I have no idea where this is now. I don't know if some family member still has it, but she wrote it. It never got published. In it, she detailed the gift of a few garden roses as she was being held prisoner. Her book stated, quote, "A hand appeared through the doorway. It was holding a glass containing several garden roses. George McGee followed the glass into the room. 'Here's something you wanted,' he said. In startled amazement, I tried to thank him, but he did not want to be thanked," unquote.
Wow.
So Mary McElroy was able to save Walter McGee's life. I don't think if she doesn't write the letter to the governor and gets her dad to weigh in, I think he would have been executed. But she wasn't able to save her own. It's often said that crime does not pay, but I would offer that crime often has a terrible price.
Oh,
You have to wonder what would have become of Mary McElroy when you look at these articles and she's got this wonderful smile and she's talking about writing a novel and she's going to the opera and stuff. Had these four knuckleheads not knocked on that door and broke in and kidnapped her on that May Day. So.
Wow. They say it was a simpler time, and it was in a lot of ways, but in other ways, it was just as brutal as it can be now. The legal system, though, I mean, if somebody abducted my daughter, I might feel differently, but the death penalty, she was not mistreated. I don't know.
You know what this is? It's a reaction to the other. It's probably, and I didn't look. I should have looked. It's probably a reaction to the Lindbergh baby. The outrage of, and this is a way to be like, we're ending kidnapping in this country.
Yeah, we're not messing around anymore.
Yeah, we're going to be so draconian.
Well, yeah, and there's still people who think that the was it Bruno Hauptmann? Is that his name? The guy they executed for that probably didn't do it.
Yeah, you'll never know.
We'll never know. Yeah. Wow.
So
Good
this
one.
is the dark side for the actual members of the Pendergast family. Something horrible happened. Even if you're with the family and think you're protected, horrible things can still happen to you.
Right. Wow.
Another Kansas City tale you probably didn't know about.
Yeah, I didn't.
And it's just a sad. I mean, I wish I could put a spin and make something funny, but there's not. It's a sad story. It's sad. It just is. So
yeah, but as an insider, we'll try to bring you some of these sad stories, and maybe we'll find some that are funny down the road. But
I have someone down the way, but I wanted to do this because I think most people hadn't heard it. Drink your Manhattan or your
painkiller.
Drink two.
Yeah, and you'll feel fine. Yeah. Wow. Definitely.
So, again, thanks for being an insider. We will be back with a regular episode on September 15th. You will get yet another one on October 1st. We appreciate it. This will be all Alex next time. So you might want to send Alex an email and say, "Could you guys like that?"
I deserve that.
Alex will get like a jaywalker story next time. Just make it real. All right, people. Until next time.
Yep.
Question: real estate in California. What the Seriously, can someone help? What's an escrow? What's an ARM? What is an REO? What is pre-approval? Can I get pre-approval? Why is inventory so low? Why are interest rates so high? Oh, interest rates not so high? How low is low? How not so high is right?
Before you go down the road of questions, get expert help at championsofhome.com. California Association of Realtors. Who's your realtor?